All right, so much to cover, so little time. But hey, guys, welcome to the Unfiltered Chat. This is your host of the most of the time here in sunny side Dubai, and I got my good friend from blockchain DXB, George. How's it going, sir?
Doing great, Marcus, especially since last night, because what happened is that the FOMC meeting was out, and what happened is we'll go ahead and discuss what is it that was actually announced at the meeting. But in the last session that we had, Marcus, that is, I believe, on last Thursday, we talked about that there are three outcomes. The first one is probably Federal Chair Jerome Powell will go ahead and keep the interest rate the same, and if that thing would have happened, it's great for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. The next option that we discussed was possibly for Federal Chair Jerome Powell to go ahead and reduce the interest rate. And that would have been absolutely fantastic for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And the third likely outcome could have been that he would have gone ahead and decided to go ahead and increase the interest rate. And if that would have happened, mainstream media would have gone completely nuts against President Donald Trump's policies, and there's very little chance for him to go ahead and increase the interest rate, at least for the next 2 years. But anyways, at the FOMC meeting, which did actually take place at 10 p.m. Gulf Standard Time, which is 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Markers, he decided to keep the interest rate the same. And that, to be honest, is great for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And I was checking the price of Bitcoin at 10 p.m. Markers. It was hovering around the $83,000 mark, but it has bumped up to $86,000. So whenever Federal Chair Jerome Powell makes the announcement, directly or indirectly does impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And I cannot stress this enough. What I think people need to do is they need to look at information from first source. I'm talking about the FOMC meeting, and you can go to the Federal Reserve Board website. It clearly tells you the information that he looks at. And what he has said, Marcos, is that the economic conditions are kind of great in the United States of America. He also talked about inflation is not much of a concern. But whenever he goes live, Marcos, he always has question and answer session. Now, he did talk about tariffs, and one thing which he talked about tariffs, Marcos, is, and this is more in connection to inflation, that he did take a survey, and based on the survey results, people are worried about inflation picking up. But here's the interesting thing to note, Marcus. The survey was done by a few household and businesses, and I was wondering, I tried to do a bit of research as to how many people did actually participate in the survey, and I looked at it all night. And take a wild guess, Marcus, how many people did actually participate in the survey? You'd be surprised by the numbers. It is less than
I don't know, like
100.
100.
Less than 100.
Oh, okay, less than 100. Okay, all right.
So I'm not sure if that gives you a very
Interesting.
good assessment of especially when you talk
I
about
don't
these
think so.
surveys.
Covering the United States with like 100 households, like,
And-
bro, that's like it's like a, what do you say, like a small town of, like, I don't know what, say 5,000 people or something, and
Yeah.
only 100. Yeah, like, still small.
Ridiculously small.
Not even like, if you put it in a, like as an image or something, it's barely not even a dot too. So
And just to digress,
okay,
Marcus, just to digress regarding survey, I just remembered when there was elections in India, and this was between
Yeah.
Narendra Modi and Rajiv Gandhi. There was election exit polls, and the exit polls turned out to be completely inaccurate. It was exactly opposite of what the actual outcome were. And there was a guy who was literally crying on camera, stating that he made a mistake on the exit poll. And they also asked him, how many people did you survey in the exit poll? And he literally said less than 20, Marcus. So imagine doing an election for a country with close to 1.5 billion people. You're doing an exit poll of 20 people and then coming up with the result. And he literally started crying because, according to him, it has cost people a lot of money, so on and so forth. But whenever we're talking about surveys, that's really important that we also look at the questions that are asked, the bandwidth, and the number of people that are asked as well.
But George, okay, but that's insane.
Yep.
Like, okay, look, I guess, okay, we both have been suspicious of all these polls or whatever, like, for the longest time. I don't know. Let's say, well, what's that poll? Not the Getty's poll or the Ramsey's poll or whatever. Like, okay, you have a kind of like a sample size of like 1,000 or something. You know what? I could kind of, like, agree to it, because like it's I guess in terms of time and scope and all that stuff, it makes sense. But less than 100, and then you talk about India. I mean, like, again, this is a goddamn joke.
And
What
this
a
is
joke. I mean,
exactly,
seriously.
yeah. And this is where a quote by Denzel Washington is, mainstream media, they don't want to get the information right. They want to be first. I think whoever is first, at the end of the day, they get their likes. They get more
Yeah.
advertisement dollars, isn't it? But yeah, regarding what
It's
I've
just clickbait, right?
yeah. So the only thing what I suggest our listeners to do is, and even I made my niece listen to the entire speech today in the morning. What's really important, Marcus, is that we got to listen to the speech that Jerome Powell is saying regarding inflation and tariffs. Now you can disagree to it 100%. If you're disagreeing to what he's saying, I'm 100% in board with that, because as we talked about, there are quite a lot of information that he's taking does not make a lot of sense. Let's say shadow stats, for instance. Rather than looking at Bureau of Labor statistics, maybe he need to be looking at information from shadow stats and then talk about it. That would make a lot of sense. But yeah, regarding inflation, it
Yeah.
has gone down, and what he actually said is that it is extremely difficult to calculate how tariffs will impact inflation. And one key thing, Marcos, he said that they have policies in place. So let's say if tariffs were to pick up inflation, he's going to go out and have the policies amended. So what I'm trying to say is essentially, how does it connect it to the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? Most likely, he might go out and increase the interest rate or reduce it. But the big question is, Marcos, and something which we absolutely like, should the Federal Reserve Board be completely abolished? And that I do think solves maybe 100% of the problem.
Yeah, yeah, because first of all, like, just a gentle reminder to everybody that in a capitalistic society, there's no such thing as a central bank.
Yep.
The concept of a central bank comes from communism. It comes from Karl Marx's book, So it's like the second point, So, um, having this, I guess what lender of last resort or the
Yep.
buyer of last resort, which is the central bank or whatever. Like, this is just a proper manipulation. This has, I mean, sorry, I don't know where to begin, but I think this is where, like, Thomas Massey, Dr. Ron Paul,
Yep.
Justin Marsh, okay, throw in also Ron Paul's son, Dr. Rand Paul. I mean, like, these guys have been right. I mean, the Austrian School of Economics, the Austrian economists, I mean, these guys been at least right on this part, like having the Federal Reserve, like, there's all this monetary manipulation taking place, So this doesn't really, it's not helping the middle class of America or anywhere around the world. Because personally, for me, if you want to talk about, like, innovation and stuff, a lot of it's coming from, like, from the middle class, from the fringes, not from MIT or like your Ivy League schools or whatever. I mean, like, they're good at talking about it, pontificating, all that stuff, but the real work is coming from the middle class. Uh, and especially when you have like a central bank like the Federal Reserve manipulating the your purchasing power. I mean, it is disrupting the whole economy.
Yep.
And you're not going to see the middle class or regular people like us, most of us, like, don't really have the time to, like, see the bigger picture. We are just, like, working in the business or in the like, in our situation, we don't get to grow and stuff. And we're seeing like, social issues also coming in place. And we can look at history, not just 10 years. We can go back even more than 400 years. So I don't know, just anyway, that's my point. I don't want to go way too off tangent. This is going to be like a whole nother conversation. So please, John, take the lead.
Now, regarding Thomas Massey, I think what he's saying is absolutely right. I think he's the only guy he's asking for the Treasury Department to be audited. And right now, with the new Treasury Secretary, he has also asked Elon Musk to go out and audit it. It would be great if President Donald Trump does take a move to go out and completely eliminate the Federal Reserve Board. If I'm not mistaken, right now, Marcos, he is completely abolishing the Federal Department of Education, which I think is kind of great as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see if he does that for Federal Reserve Board, maybe the FBI and other things as well. Now, regarding Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, Marcos, it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of an impact will have if, let's say, the Federal Reserve Board is completely eliminated. I think it'll be great for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I think it'll be absolutely fantastic. Now, let's talk about another interesting news, Marcos. And according to me, this is probably the breaking news of 2024, maybe even 2025. And this is regarding EOS rebranding to Volta. I haven't heard about EOS since a
Wow.
very long time, and finally, they are rebranding to Volta, and we'll talk about what that rebranding would actually do. But have you heard any news regarding EOS, Marcus, since the last few years? Or
Okay. Last week, okay. The last time, I've been focusing on EOS. This is what, 2016,
yeah,
maybe 2015. That could be.
the
Now,
they've been in talks
it was
since
supposed to be this
2015. Yeah,
Ethereum killer. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And they had the longest, almost like a 1 year ICO, right? So I remember this is like when I was like reviewing the Dollar Vigilante. I mean, these guys. I mean, they were like early guys into Bitcoin, way early. So I definitely want to give a shout out to Jeff Borick and stuff. I know not many people would like him because he's into conspiracies and all that stuff. But hey, he's been right on a lot of stuff. But set aside on that. Now, when it comes to EOS, I mean, we know about Dan Larimer. He's a CTO for EOS. He did Steam It, BitShares. I mean, you name it. I mean, so there's a long history, and man, I think to me, like EOS was sort of like a big disappointment
yep.
for me. I'm just like, what the heck happened? So they definitely have a whole lot of Bitcoins and stuff, but they're supposed to have that voice.com.
Yeah.
What happened to that? Yeah. So okay, so yes, when okay, so you're talking about like the last time I touched upon it, I would say it's either 2017 or 2018. So it's been a while, sir. It's been a while.
Yeah, and EOS, as you rightly mentioned, was supposed to be the Ethereum killer, and I still think there were more fanboys of EOS. People used to say that Dan Larimer is probably the smartest person in the cryptocurrency space. They were even talking about him and comparing him with Satoshi Nakamoto. And Fluffy Pony rightly said that, this is Dan Larimer's third or fourth scam. He openly called that out. And I did not like it, Marcus, at that point of time because I thought legitimately that EOS is a project that would succeed. But looks like Fluffy Pony was 100% right. And a lot of people don't know, Marcus, that even Peter McCormack from the What Bitcoin Did podcast, or rather formerly known as What Bitcoin Did podcast, he got introduced to cryptocurrencies because of EOS as well. He lost a lot of money and then digressed and is only a Bitcoin guy. Now, you mentioned about them buying a lot of Bitcoin. They raised $4 billion in ICO.
Yeah.
And with that $4 billion, Marcos, they ended up buying Bitcoin. I think it was the biggest scam probably of all time. I can't understand, how they got away with it. They did manage to pay the SEC fine, isn't it? I've sent you the link, official link, Marcos, regarding the rebranding in case you want to check it. Yeah.
I need to go to my.
Okay.
I don't have it. I have it on my phone, not on my laptop.
Okay.
But okay, so there it is.
So they've rebranded to Volta, and essentially what they are focusing on is they want to focus more on Web3 banking. So the official headline is Volta opening the gateway for Web3 banking. And they have 4 pillars, Marcus, that they're focusing on. But before the 4 pillars, what I really am not liking, Marcus, is they have a banking advisory council. And if you actually read through the name, they have some heavy duty giants. But when we have councils attached to it, I think historically, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have really strong allergic reaction to council members, so on and so forth, because they are kind of centralized in a way, isn't it? But nonetheless, regarding Volta, Marcus, I did talk about it in my Blockchain DXB podcast today. They are focusing on 4 pillars. That is wealth management, consumer payments, portfolio investment, and insurance. Now, this looks very much of a corporate theme, which goes against what Bitcoin and cryptocurrency stands for, in my honest opinion. So, me personally, I'm definitely don't like this particular news. And you talked about voice.com, and this is for fanboys of Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor did actually sell the domain name voice.com to EOS for $30 million. And there's a really interesting episode where he talks about voice.com, which, if I'm not mistaken, he bought it for less than $10. And how he was getting a high price for that. And every time he was asking for a high price, people were agreeing to sell it to him, buy it from him, but he was keeping on increasing the price, and it looks like that was a brilliant move by him, and he sold it for $30 million. But yeah, essentially Volta is the new rebranded version of EOS, and they're focusing on Web3 banking, which, to be honest, I'm definitely not liking, Marcus, because that is what decentralized finance is, isn't it? So I'm not sure if they're trying to. When you talk about decentralized finance, that is
I
Web3
guess
banking,
from a
isn't it?
branding side, from the branding side of things, I guess they have. I feel like they don't have a choice though. I mean, like
Yep, yep.
because
You
there are
may,
many others who are playing. They're playing this field,
yep,
So
yep. You may
they
want to
got to
check
lead
on
in
the.
some narrative, I guess.
Yeah, if you look at the advisory council, Marcos, they have some heavy duty Johns. I think some ex-members from Binance. I think that is what they're banking on. That using this advisory council members, you might try to convince
oh,
a
sorry.
lot of institutional clients, a lot of high net worthy individuals to go ahead and be part of this new Volta. It does give out some names.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's have a look at it. Okay, so we got like Lauren Strong, who's the CEO of Systemic Trust. That's huge. Yeah. Then you got Canada's first licensed custodian, Tetra Trust. Then you got from Didier Lavallée. Then we got Alexander Nelson, ATB Financial. Okay, this was pretty Canadian driven.
Yep.
Then you got Jonathan Rizzo, Senior Business Solution Specialist. He's at ATB Financial. All right, so I guess so. I guess so. Again, I'm not that familiar with the Canadian ecosystem. Again, the last time when you asked me about when's the last time I talked talked about EOS or touched about EOS,
Yeah.
2017, and that's the same time we have Vitalik from Ethereum and many other guys too, Amir Rusek. They're all in Canada, so there was a lot of Bitcoiners in Toronto. So there was a lot of really cool developers over there at that time. So, but then after that, I haven't heard much.
And just
Let's
one thing
see.
regarding EOS Marcos, they claimed it or put it across as the world's biggest social media experiment, where in order to go live rather than the foundation doing it, it was a community who clicked on the push button that this particular project has gone live. So they were selling it as it is the world's biggest social media experiment where the community is going ahead with the project, which sounded really cool and professional. And they talked about being completely decentralized. And regarding Dan Larimer, Marcus, he was the guy who I spoken to the CEO of Food Foundation, where he talked about having X number of validators and how they are more decentralized or distributed than, let's say, Bitcoin or Ethereum, which on paper does make a lot of sense, because Dan Larimer was talking about that Ethereum has X number of validators and it is centralized, but he was quoting a specific number, that we have so many delegated proof of work, so based on the numbers we are more decentralized than, let's say, Ethereum or Bitcoin, which on paper does make a lot of sense, but there should not be any number associated stating that okay, we have 21 validators, so we are more decentralized or distributed than any other project or protocol. But yeah, regarding this particular project called Volta, I do think it's a complete recipe for disaster. But I'm not heard about Dan Larimer yet. I'm not sure if he's active on LinkedIn or if he's still active on Twitter. I'm pretty much sure he is. Now you could make an argument, Marcus, that historically he might be still the top 5 most influential person in the cryptocurrency space, isn't it? Because he also has DTube or Steam, which he was essentially part of. I'm not sure what other projects he's part of right now.
Okay, but I guess back in the day, yeah. But I know, again, especially with guys who are super technical and stuff, unfortunately, there's always this higher failure in terms of getting a product to market, so that has always been this I don't want to say like a curse, right? This is kind of like some sort of okay, just for lack of a better word, I'll just use the word curse or something, because to push all this, not just a text, but just the idea, you need a good supporting team or group of people to help bring that word out there and stuff. So I mean I know again, even Fluffy Pony, some of his statements can be crude and calling him a scammer and stuff. I mean, this is coming from I mean, as much as I love Monero and stuff, and many ways I do like Fluffy Pony, but he also has his mess ups in South Africa too, with legal
100%, yeah.
stuff and all. Now, again, I don't know. Maybe this is like malicious attack against him. If it is a malicious attack against him, then definitely like he is innocent and stuff. Um, but I mean, calling Dan a scammer, I don't know. It's a little bit stretch, I guess.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Fluffy phone is
Dan
all,
could have
yeah.
done better though.
Yeah. He was
I
one of
mean,
the
but
guys
then
who, I'm not sure, Marcus, if you've seen the post where he did actually receive a reply from Satoshi Nakamoto, which is on a public forum.
yeah,
But the reply is
that's
not a
true.
good one.
That is true.
Yeah, he did. Satoshi
That
Nakamoto
is
did
true.
reply stating that if you can't understand these basic concepts of cryptography and blockchain or crypto Bitcoin, there is no point talking to you. That was a communication that he actually received from Satoshi Nakamoto. But yeah, me personally, I'm not a fan of this new project that is Volta as well. I do think it is 100% another recipe for disaster. But the token has pumped up, as it always does whenever there is a news surrounding any particular token.
Yeah.
And we'll also talk about Telegram CEO. But before that, Marcus, one thing which I wanted to touch base, and this is a news which I did actually cover on Monday, that is regarding White House to acquire Bitcoin. And this is an article which is published by Decrypt, and I read through it. I was trying to look at the official information, and there was no official sources. The article talked about there are sources that tell us within the roundtable conference that White House is going to buy Bitcoin. And unfortunately, Marcus, based on my experience at least, most often than not, these are misleading or fake news. And the article talks about that, Bo Hines, who's the executive director of the Presidential Working Group on Digital Assets, did actually confirm that the White House is going to buy Bitcoin, which is completely opposite to what the executive order states. The executive order clearly states that not a single penny will be utilized to go out and buy Bitcoin. So I think what has been happening is a lot of people are just trying to, pump Bitcoin as much as possible. I don't think so, at least at this point of time. At least the White House or the federal department will go out and buy Bitcoin. There is a very high possibility, Marcus, that relevant states, they will go out and buy Bitcoin, because if you actually see regarding what the bills that they're trying to pass, in that there are terms and conditions stating that they will spend X number of money to go out and buy Bitcoin. But at a federal level, I don't think so. The White House is going to be buying Bitcoin. At a state level, yes, I think if I'm not mistaken, Texas might be one of the first states to go out and buy Bitcoin. But which technically speaking is the same thing, isn't it? Well, not the same thing.
Because again, I guess from a state level, I think it would make. But I think, for example, like Florida, right? I'm sure is this guy not Suarez? Suarez? Oh, okay, the mayor of Miami, right? I forgot the guy's name. I know he's getting his salary paid in Bitcoin. I mean, if he's still the mayor or something. But as far as Florida, I guess from a state side of things, like I think it's much more achievable. Yep. Like for the states to buy some Bitcoin and stuff. But then again, like that requires a lot of politicking and also a lot of activism and stuff. So if it happens officially in the state level, then there is a possibility in the federal level. But look, as far as the United States federal government, look, I mean, they got unlimited cash. I mean, like,
yep.
So as long as the rest of the world accepts the US dollar as a reserve currency, they're on the rush for it. So yeah, I know that's my take, but so yeah, I mean, dealing with bureaucrats and stuff. But anyways, that's the White House an article by Decrypt, right?
Yeah. So I don't think so the federal government will buy Bitcoin as such, but at a state level they definitely might buy Bitcoin, which again is great. When you talk about the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, let's talk about another really interesting news, Marcus, which is connected to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East, and that is the CEO of Telegram, that is Powell Durov. Now, earlier in the week, there was news that, he's set free. I'm sure there are terms and conditions, and if I'm not mistaken, he's already in Dubai now, isn't it? Has he already reached Dubai? I think so. He has reached Dubai.
Yeah. So, saw that. Yeah. So, as far as Powell, now he got the permission, or sorry, I'm a little bit confused about his situation. So I know he's back in Dubai, but does he still have a criminal case against him or something? And did he just get a special permission?
I really
What?
am not sure, Marcus. I probably need to do more research on this. If I'm not mistaken, there's a temporary kind of restriction that has been removed. So he's definitely in Dubai.
Okay.
But regarding the reason why we wanted to talk about this is because I remember, Marcus, in July and August, there were a lot of protocols being built on Ton blockchain, isn't it, and Telegram. And we also did some games on Ton blockchain. And at that point
Yeah, a
of
lot of
time,
the
yeah,
the tapping game. Yeah.
there was
I
some
don't know. Sorry,
hamster
it looked
game
kind of
as
weird.
well, and everything did actually pump up in prices. But the moment he got arrested, unfortunately, the prices did actually go down. And because of this news, the price of Dawn token did actually pump up by 17%. And so it's going to be really interesting to see, what the outcome to this is. The only thing I can tell listeners is, Marcus, that Tucker Carlson, he did actually visit Dubai only to do his interview, and we covered about what he said at the interview when
Yeah.
he was arrested as well, isn't it? He was talking about how great the UAE government department is, and they haven't questioned him even once in terms of asking him for backdoor access. But in US, both side of politicians, that is Republicans and Democrats, they have given him Bell's notice. One of them asked him for information, and the second one said, if you give them information, you're kind of breaking the law. So what he decided to do was probably the best thing, just ignore both of the letters. But I think looks like they
Yeah.
took a different route and tried to arrest him in France. Because if I'm not mistaken, Marcus, he's a citizen of France as well, isn't he?
Yeah. 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 He is. He is. Which I thought that was a bad take on his side, though.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to like have secondary citizenship and stuff, like why? So, and look, I mean, he could get. I mean, like, anyway, sorry, that'll go into like whole nother territory. But I think it's like a bad take for him to get the. I mean, he got the UAE passport,
Yeah.
right? Makes a whole lot of sense. He's based over here. Definitely, Telegram one of, is the fastest growing app in the world. Already, they crossed like 1 billion users. So makes a whole lot of sense. And also in terms of the neutrality of this region,
Yeah.
for the most part, it makes sense. So I think it's a great place to be. So my only recommendation is like he needs to watch out what kind of girlfriends he has. So
Yep. Yeah. But am I
if
right
you
in?
if you go on the rumor mill, so
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a,
Absolutely spot on. And am I right in saying, Marcus, that he's one of the richest business person in United Arab Emirates? I mean, I'm talking about a business person, not
I think he
necessarily
is.
from
Yeah,
the
he is
royal
the
family.
richest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is. And like to see things like he doesn't have any properties or anything like that. He
Yeah.
rents his mansion.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know.
Yep.
And I think and look, I'll agree with his philosophy. Like having all the material stuff or whatever, it just locks you down. So he has a lot of freedom,
Yep. Yep.
which is great. Like I think it raises a lot of questions too. Like I guess also now there is a lot of social debate, like in terms of like uh, what do you say, having some sort of properties or owning something or whatever. I mean, I guess if you talk about like real estate and cars and all that stuff, yeah.
Yep.
So, but anyway, I'm sorry. I know I'll keep going on off tangent, man. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but yeah, it's good that he's at least back in Dubai now. I hope that his case is solved. The next news, Marcus, is again
Yeah.
something which we touched base on our episode last week. That is at the Unfiltered chat, and this was regarding the Bank of Korea. Now, here's the interesting thing, Marcus. The Bank of Korea, which is kind of like the central bank, they have rejected Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. But South Korea, as we know, have been very pro Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, interestingly, Marcus, both sides of the politicians, that is Democratic Party of Korea, which is called as DPK, and the People Power Party, they are both fans of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And both are talking about less regulation.
Good
So
problem to have.
yeah,
Very
yeah,
good
it's a good
problem
problem
to
to have. Absolutely, yeah. But it's interesting that
have.
the central bank is not in favor, which is not surprising because they don't want Bitcoin as a reserve, isn't it?
Oh, a central bank not in favor, George? Oh, come on.
Yep, yep, yep.
So,
Now, there's a lot.
I'm just being sarcastic, guys.
There's a
It's expected, y'all. You gotta
Yep,
expect like these central bankers. They don't care about this stuff, though.
Now, regarding South Korea, Marcos, there's a lot of drama going on, particularly regarding the current president. Now, let's say if he does get impeached, I'm not sure the chances are extremely high, but there will be an election that will actually take place in just a matter of next 3 months in the first half of 2025. But let's say if he doesn't get impeached and if he's found guilty, then the next election will take place on 3rd of March 2027. And that is the time I think a decision will be brought up regarding Bitcoin strategic reserve. So, it's going. But let's say if he does get thrown out in the first half of this year, then I'm pretty much sure the chances of a Bitcoin strategic reserve in South Korea is extremely high. But I doubt, he will be impeached or he will be found guilty. Most likely he will be set free. If that is the case, most likely in 2027 we might talk about Bitcoin strategic reserve.
Anyways, let's talk about Sui, man. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, Marcus, I'm not done quite a lot of research regarding Sui, but there is news regarding Canary Capital. They have applied for a Sui ETF, and based on my understanding, Marcus, there is a very high chance for the Sui ETF to be approved. Now, I do know that there was some drama regarding the founding members of Sui, yes, and some of them left the founding members team and there was some internal politics going on, but it looks like when you talk about Sui blockchain, they are focusing more on institutional clients and they do have some heavy backing with Grayscale and Vanik. So yeah, Sui ETF, I think there is a very high chance for a Sui ETF to be approved. It's because right now there is I think Solana ETF, Dogecoin ETF, Ripple ETF, and the chances definitely looks extremely high of these ETFs. Now, we both are not fans of ETF as such, but with the new administration, there is a very high chance that these ETFs will be approved. But yeah, I just thought, let's go ahead and talk about this. Now, the next news, Mark, is something which I sent you a message late night, I believe at 10 or 11 p.m.
Hey, I know.
And that is regarding JFK files and Epstein files. But the question what I wanted to ask you is, Marcus, regarding the JFK files, let's say if we find out any notorious activity done by the US government, do you think it's going to impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? And the same thing, let's say, with Epstein files and Diddy files. What is your thought having an impact of that in the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? Do you think that it would make an impact?
Yeah, as far as if you're talking about like the JFK files and the Epstein files, I think like many of us, and also in terms of like the watcher communities and all that stuff, we're already aware that there is a lot of criminality happening within the United States, particularly with the CIA and stuff. And if you know about JFK and 4 months or 2 months before his assassination, I mean, he did talk about splintering the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it in the wind. And also this also goes another territory we talk about, also his decision about not letting Israel have nuclear weapons and stuff. So definitely if you look at, if you go on Twitter and stuff, we're seeing a whole host of like coverage and stuff, and seeing, and also like a lot of people are also I guess in terms of the U.S. government involvement, we all know, I guess a lot of people are in agreement there's shady stuff going on since the 60s, I guess. Now, in terms of affecting the Bitcoin prices, that part I don't know. Not sure how.
Yeah.
But I am curious about, because a lot of people have already, how do you say, shared their anger, shared their disagreement in just the way the U.S. government has handled the JFK files, giving to these so-called unknown conservative
influencers,
not any conservative, like a particular group of influencers barely have 100,000 people, and also they have a certain leaning, like in terms of their politics or who they support and stuff. So so it already made a lot of, it just pissed a lot of people off, because they said set up a website and just put all that stuff in, So and then then you play the where you say like, hey, we're also giving these influencers these files and all stuff,
Yes.
just for drama or something like that.
It was a
Hey, you know what?
Photoshop kind
A
of
lot
a
of
thing,
people,
photo
a lot
kind
of
of thing.
like a photo ops. So a
Yeah.
lot of people wouldn't care, but when they're given to these guys,
Yeah.
it just delegitimized this whole process. And I think we already know like a lot of this, the Warren Commission was a total facade and stuff. So
I think that was more to do with
um,
Epstein files, right, Marcus, if I'm not mistaken, or even JFK files.
no, well, both, but the Warren
Okay.
Commission, if I remember correctly, is all about the JFK file, the JFK files. Is I think the Warren Commission. So I mean that's more like a photo again, more like a photo ops thing. So
100% agree.
why we're giving to a bunch of like who these this Paulina,
Yeah.
Anna Paulina and stuff like. Just to, I mean, to me, I thought that was total nonsense too. So, but as and also in terms of the redaction and stuff, totally disagree with it because again, there's everyone's suspecting there's some sort of like a foul play and stuff, but it would be interesting to see that what we're talking about 80,000 files.
Yeah. Regarding the
Put it on the
JFK,
blockchain.
Yeah, the JFK files, if it is put on the, I'm not sure, Marcus, if the JFK files have been retracted. I think the Epstein files, in Epstein files, the name of the participants are retracted. It has to be. And I was watching a couple of podcasts and videos. They were saying that the documents might just be 20% of the actual documents. The rest, everything else has been burned or disappeared. So what we have is only 20% of it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. So.
And even if there is retraction,
it just raised a lot of
questions.
Anyways, it raised a lot of suspicions too. So
the question is, Marcus,
I think we'll.
Let's say if we find out politicians involved, I think there are only two ways this thing. I don't think so. It'll negatively impact the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Let's say if we find out any politicians were involved in Epstein files or something, I think it might just pump up the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I can't give a reasoning as to why. I'm pretty much sure a lot of Bitcoiners, they would say, look at what these politicians are doing. I'm pretty much sure they're doing that with fiat currency as well. So it will be great for the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And this is just pure wild speculation. I don't think the prices will go down.
Maybe like a short pump, but
short
nothing
pump,
like
definitely a short pump. Maybe a week or so.
It's not going to be that significant. So
maximum a week.
Look, the main concern the main concern when it comes, especially with the JFK files, and then also throwing the Epstein's files is question is not about like the CIA and stuff. I think the question we know is like, what we're seeing on the X Spaces with like Myron and Ian Carroll and many other people too, and also from within the Republican Party, the Democrat Party, the Libertarians. The question is the involvement of the State of Israel in this situation. So this has raised. I think that is that's a big deal. But plus also in the JFK files too. I don't know if I did see one of the papers is Joe Biden's name was in it, and especially the CIA's concern about Joe Biden. So that has opened a whole new rabbit hole. So you know what, like it'll take some time, but we're gonna. I think there's more coming out of it. So again, just to remind folks, like Joe Biden is one of the just like what's her name, the Speaker of the House for the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi. These two folks have been the longest serving senators ever. So these guys have there's a couple of dirt out there. But then we're not surprised by it too. So I don't know. So I don't know. So we'll see.
But yeah, as you mentioned, it'll be great, the scanned documents, Marcus, which I believe I sent it to you. I think the website is nationalarchives.gov. If that is put on Ethereum, I'm pretty much sure someone would have already done it. It's going to be great if that turns out to be an NFT. Buy an NFT of the JFK
I hope so.
file. I think it's a great business idea.
That would make there'll be some value to it. So I don't know. So
But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see if it does actually impact the price. As you mentioned, I do think it might just be a short-term pump. But then now let's talk about the cryptocurrency market, Marcus. And this week was a bit strange because the only matrix which was pumping up, that is the volume of Pancake Swap. Now, PancakeSwap is connected to Binance BNB chain, isn't it, Markose? And in just a few minutes, we'll talk about the news regarding Dubai, UAE, or Middle East, where MGX has invested $2 billion into Binance. And because of that, I do think PancakeSwap has, the 24-hour volume has been consistently overtaking the volume of Uniswap. And I'm just looking at the updated information, Markose. I think the cake prices has pumped up by well over 30%. And there's a lot of transactions taking place. And I'm looking at PancakeSwap right now. There's a system upgrade as well. So yeah, if you're a trader, you may want to be looking at Cake token, because this week it's been doing absolutely fantastic. And there's a good reasoning, because MGX has invested $2 billion. And there's a lot of transactions taking place as well.
Done in stable coins.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Markose, this entire transaction was just done in one transaction, as opposed to, a split transaction. It was just done in one transaction where they receive. I'm not sure, I could be wrong on this, because I just saw a LinkedIn post, I haven't been able to verify it, that the entire $2 billion was received in one check or one transaction. And because of that, PancakeSwap volume consistently since the last few days has been pumping up. But other than that, this week, the volume of stable coins is ridiculously low. Right until yesterday, after the FOMC announcement, the stablecoin volume has picked up pace. And this just shows the power of, FOMC meeting. But these are some macro level news, Markose. Now we touch base upon UAE based news. Now this week, Markose, there are some massive news. And since the last, I wouldn't even say 24 hours, since the last 12 hours, Markose, there are some real heavy duty news which we'll love to talk about. The first one is regarding, we touch base regarding Binance raising $2 billion from Abu Dhabi based MGX. Markose, if I'm not mistaken, we need to get this right. I think it is the Sheikh of Al Ain. He's the one who is responsible or in charge of MGX, isn't it? Let's get the name right.
Is it Sheikh Tanoon, right?
I think so.
Yeah, let's. Yeah, if you want to share, you can share the screen or something. Just for.
So I think it is Sheikh Tanoon bin Mohammed Al Nahyan, who's a
the guy with the glasses, right?
Yep.
He was the shades one. Okay, yeah.
I'm not sure, Markose, because I just saw a LinkedIn post stating that he's 5 times richer than Elon Musk. Most likely, yes. Because
the by far, I mean, forget the Forbes list or something.
Yep. And he's the guy who's managing, MGX as well, and I think he's heavily getting involved in cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and even AI, which I think is absolutely great. And we'll touch base on another news which is connected to MGX, but before that, let's talk about.
Let me just share the screen from my side, just so the peeps know who we are talking about. Yeah. So there you have it. He is the deputy ruler of Abu Dhabi, MGX chairman.
Oh, this news, Markose, is probably the biggest news. I'm not sure if you're seeing the people who are involved in this. These are some really heavy-duty giants, which I just found out in just last matter of 12 hours. We'll definitely go and touch base on these news. The list that you're looking at right now, if you see the names of people, these are some, I'm not even sure what the word is, beyond ultra high net worthy individual.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. He's got like from the Al Mubarak, got Al Zabi family. Peng Zhao. Okay, who's he?
He's the CEO for G42.
Oh damn, he's a group CEO. Wow.
Yeah, group CEO, and he used to work with Michael Saylor in the past with MicroStrategy.
Yeah, okay, they got Martin Illman. Where did he come from? He came from Aldar Reed, Jackie Robinson Foundation, the Fallen Hero.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a New Yorker. All right, okay, I see you, man. He's a general counsel. All right, we got semiconductors infrastructure.
Yeah, that is another news, Markose, which in fact we can talk about that right now itself, because I think what you're looking at is a massive AI infrastructure partnership, which is worth $180 billion, Markose. And let me just read out the names of the companies who are involved in this. It is BlackRock, Microsoft, MGX that we talked about. It is Nvidia, XAI, which is part of Twitter or X, G Vernova, and Next Era Energy, as well as some other companies, and they're working on something on AI partnership or global AI partnership. Now, Markose, this news is connected to President Donald Trump, because he did invite a lot of these guys at the White Office, and surprisingly, mainstream media is not talking about it. So a lot of this AI partnership is a partnership between United Arab Emirates and United States of America, and $180 billion, is a massive, massive announcement. I've sent you a link, Markose, which is the official source from the media office in Abu Dhabi. I'm not sure if it's.
I have it in my phone, not on my.
Do you want me to? Let me try to do one thing. Let me try to go ahead and copy paste it in a private chat over here. Will the private chat work, Markose? Yeah. So this is the official news by the UAE government. This would make more sense to go ahead and share it.
There you go. All right.
Yeah. These are some heavy duty names, isn't it, Markose? And they're working on Global AI Infrastructure Investment Partnership. And this was, it talks about the chairman of MGX, that is His Highness Sheikh Tahoon bin Nayad Al Nahyan, where he's talking about AI. And he was at the White House yesterday, Markose. I'm not sure. He was meeting with President Donald Trump. So when you talk about tariffs, Markose, this is what is happening behind the scene. And if you're an American, these are brilliant scenes, which means you're talking about $180 billion worth of investments between the United States of America and US.
Yeah.
And just after that, just after 2 hours, Markose, there is another announcement which is made, which is for $20 billion in the world of AI. And I'm not sure if you can pull that link up as well. This literally happened in...
Oh, sorry. Share another link?
Yeah. Which is again by the media office.
Sorry, you didn't share it?
No, I'll just share it right now, Markose. Yeah, I just sent it to you right now, the second link. So,
another
Markose,
media office? Okay, HQ and energy partner, capital partner. All right.
So Abu Dhabi-based investment and holding company and energy capital partners, they are entering into an agreement with a 50% partnership. And this, I believe, is worth $20 billion. So, when people are talking about tariffs might definitely be an upsetting thing. But at the same time, Markose, there's a lot of investments flowing in between UAE and United States of America. And if mainstream media does actually cover this news, things like, let's say, Fox Business or CNN, it tells you accurate assessment of what is actually going on. And it'd be great, Markose, if Oort Foundation tries to connect with them and maybe, have some kind of collaboration or...
Yeah.
Because they are going in really hard so far as artificial intelligence is concerned.
Yeah, but I mean, these are going like in terms of like infrastructure, like in terms of like power though, like the power, like data centers, hyperscale cloud companies.
Yeah, some heavy duty giants.
That's a whole other level. Yeah. So,
if you see the names of these companies.
But this is like all like long term stuff, obviously. So
I think this might be at least for a couple of decades as well, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, these guys are thinking like long term stuff. It's not like 5 years or something like that.
Maybe longer, I think. Yeah. Maybe even longer. Because I think this one is
more,
for $180 billion, and the ADQ and Energy Capital Partnership is for $25 billion or $30 billion. But yeah, if you're someone who's in Abu Dhabi and is working in artificial intelligence space, I think, Markose, when the Bitcoin MENA event was taking place, Larry Fink was at the FinTech Summit, and he actually said that in crypto and AI, Abu Dhabi will be the capital of the entire world. And it looks like that is what is turning out to be true right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that, so far as AI is concerned, Abu Dhabi is definitely a place to be. But Saudi Arabia has already confirmed $600 billion worth of investment. And I believe in 2 weeks, President Trump is meeting them in Saudi Arabia, and I'm pretty much sure, apart from peace talks between Russia and Ukraine, they're going to be talking about the investment. So the $600 billion is a committed investment. Again, it might take 4 to 5 years. It's going to be spread over a period of duration. But yeah, I think one thing which I'm genuinely liking, Markose, about AI is I'm actually seeing the use case. Unlike blockchain technology, Markose, I'm not seeing, because when Ethereum started, we were talking about, it being the first world computer. We were talking about dApps, things like, our conversation should be on a blockchain as opposed to being on StreamYard. But I'm not seeing any of these use cases. But so far as AI is concerned, we're actually seeing so many use cases, and people are already beginning to use it, isn't it, Markose? Classic example, Markose.
But I guess Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, my brother, day before yesterday, he gave me a CV and he asked me to edit it, and I showed him a way without even seeing your CV. I'm going to edit it and I'm going to send it to you. So all I did, he sent it to me via WhatsApp. I did not even look at it. I put it into ChatGPT and I asked him, "What is the job that you're applying for? Send it to me." I copy pasted that in ChatGPT. I did not even look at it, and I asked ChatGPT to go ahead and amend the CV based on the job description. And we got the CV, and he went in and applied for that particular role. So what I'm trying to say is, Marcus, with AI, you don't even need to know how to create a CV, so on and so forth. Or in my case, or this example, my brother sent me the CV, sent me the job description. We edited it, sent it back. And in terms of different industries, let's say like lawyer or whenever there's documentation, things are definitely going to change quite a lot in the world of artificial intelligence, isn't it? And all this thing literally took less than 90 seconds. The CV part, I mean. But I'm not seeing those use cases in blockchain technology, Marcus, because we were promised that, social media will be in blockchain technology. We were talking about YouTube is going to disappear, and this was in the early stages, 2016 and 17, that entire social media will be working on blockchain technology. I'm not seeing that, besides the use case of token. But yeah, I think we have covered pretty much everything, Marcos, in today's episode, isn't it? Are there any
Yeah.
updates from your end, Marcos? Or
No updates though. No updates on our end. Just another day here.
are you working on your
Another
podcast,
day.
upcoming podcasts? And
Kind of. Yeah, just work. Yeah, just an initial idea, but the idea is to uh, cover the area of course, crypto and the tech space.
yep,
But obviously, there has to be. I want to cover the human aspect, the humans involved in the space. So the reason being is that there is some cool tech out there, and there are amazing people who are building some great tech. And unfortunately, like when you mentioned, like, we're not seeing much progress in the blockchain space. I just feel that after the block wars and stuff, things haven't really changed much. I mean, maybe okay, DeFi, summer, and all that stuff, which is great, but even still, then I just feel that for the most part, like the real innovation I'm seeing is happening in the privacy side, and maybe also maybe some DeFi stuff too, but it's not getting out there because there's a lot of distractions, and the memes are cool. I mean, not shitting on the meme coin scene. I think there are some clever. Let me say that, like, there are some projects who are starting with a meme, but they are working on some really cool narratives, and the reason they're doing that is for legal purposes and stuff. No white paper or anything like that, because like similar to what Trump did. He
yep,
didn't
yep.
have any white paper or anything like that. Just what do you say? Make an immediate announcement and that's it. So because again, I think our industry is unfairly being targeted and stuff. So but I think hopefully, like, there are folks who are building Web3 solutions that can actually make an impact in the AI space, other areas as well. So yeah, just working on my concept, working on
Yep.
some stuff, even also outside of crypto too, because so yeah, so I will make an announcement shortly,
That'd be
and
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah. And
that's
what I
yeah.
wanted to ask is, Marcus, what is your thoughts regarding regulations for AI? Because if I'm not mistaken, UAE is focusing heavily on security and concerns so far as AI is concerned. I mean, what security mechanism should be in place? How will that thing work? Who gets to decide what is right, what is wrong? Who goes ahead and gets to make a decision that because in ChatGPT, Marcus, what I notice is if you post and you ask anything offensive, it will not reply. It'll say that this goes against, like, I listen to a lot of death metal, Marcus, and if you ask ChatGPT to give the lyrics, it says no, we can't go ahead and put the lyrics for this because it is offensive. But I'm sure there are other ChatGPT apps or other AI apps where it does actually go ahead and give you the results. So the question is, when you talk about regulations as to should there be an age limit for a person to go ahead and use AI protocols, who gets to decide? It's going to be the notorious
That's a
politicians,
tough
isn't
one.
it?
Uh, Look, look, that's a tough one by itself, because when it comes to even like the content, like some of the data and stuff, like a lot of this is based on like copyrighted stuff, and it's also hard to like prove provenance,
Yep,
where it came from and stuff. So see, that part I don't know.
yep, yep.
I really don't. So the it's hard. I mean, yeah, you could put some regulation stuff, but it's super hard to implement it.
Yep.
It's a whole new black box territory. Um, I don't know that's probably the best thing I could say though. Like,
Or so-called,
I don't think
policing.
anyone has any
Yep,
idea.
yep, yep.
I
Or
mean,
so-called, policing the
even I
AI
don't think
world.
any of the even though some of the barristers and the lawyers and all that stuff, it's so unclear.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
how they're gonna do it. So, um,
I think, Marcus, and I think what Elon Musk is doing with the XAI is great. He's just open sourcing all the codes. I think that solves 90% of the problem, isn't it? So let's say if there's any code which is, dodgy, the entire world can actually go out and see the code that this particular AI platform that you're using is extremely
sure.
dodgy. As long as you open source it, I think it solves 99% of the
I mean
problem.
that, yeah. I mean that part is fine. I guess the
Yeah,
question, like, look, we have solved the storage side of things.
yeah,
There are decentralized storage, uh, products and mechanisms out there. We also got, now you're seeing, what we just talked about, like this investments into data centers and
yeah,
increasing compute power. That's happening. I think we are good over there. But the real problem, the real challenge is going to be data, getting high quality data, making sure it's human verified data, or making sure that this is not how do you say, like, stolen data.
yeah,
So this is going to be like the main challenge. Like this is the area where, like, not many people are actually focusing. It's a whole new territory. So we are going to come across like problems, kind of like how uh, back in the old days, many years ago, like, YouTube is dealing with, like, problems with, like, copyrighted info and
yeah.
music and stuff. This is going to happen in the data scene too. So, like, there's going to be a whole host of problems, and there's not much investments or efforts in it. So that's why I recommend people, hey, look into like the scope of data collection and data labeling, and because this is it's the most tedious part of the AI value chain.
Yep, yep.
So so there are going to be legal challenges, human rights challenges. A good example is Search for Scale AI. So they have received a big lawsuit from the Department of Labor, and I request you guys have a look at it, and you'll understand how big of a problem data is going to be. So
Absolutely, yeah, Marcus. I mean, yeah, from my end, Marcus, Bitcoin DXB, that second project that I have, the website is going to be out probably in a week's time. And I do have a second podcast called as the Race Based Podcast, and I'm interviewing a good friend of mine who's a Spartan Race Middle East brand ambassador. So, listeners should definitely check it out. And we often call him with another name, which is MUTT. But other than that, yeah, things are absolutely spot on with reference to blockchain DXB and the second podcast that I have, the Race Based Podcast. And for any of the listeners do want to participate in any obstacle course race, there are 3 events coming up next week. On the 5th of April, there is Arabian Warriors, which I did tag you, Marcos, on LinkedIn. The
oh
prize money
yeah,
for that
oh
is
man,
100,000 dirham. It is only a 5K event, and that's the reason why I thought, because you love sprinting, I think you will have, based on my experience, Marcos, I think you would absolutely smash it. But there are going to be international athletes attending that one. The price is 100,000 dirham. There is another one on the 19th of April,
man.
which is Spartan Race, which is a 10K and 5K. And on the 26th, there is a 10K, 20K, and 50K at the brutal conditions of Dubai. It's going to be absolutely hot. I'm not sure who's going to do 50K in 26th of April with obstacle course race. That is, we're doing, I believe, 30 obstacles. It's a loop of 10K 5 times. But yeah, I think that's about all, Marcos, from my end. And I think great chat. We're almost done with an hour with
Yeah,
this, I think, yeah.
yeah. So hey guys, thank you so much for your time, and hey George, first of all, thank you so much for getting some really cool insights from the FOMC meeting. Um, breaking it down, making it simple and digestible for folks to understand. Because very people really check this out, but what we're hearing from the Federal Reserve, what we're hearing from from the words from Jesse Powell and all this data coming from the FOMC meeting does make an impact on our industry. Whether you're in the crypto, blockchain, the AI space, economics, I mean, you name it. I mean, this is something like we all need to be familiar. We don't have to be super experts, but hey, have an understanding how some of this thing plays out. So, and of course, hey, I'm glad that we got to talk about a little bit of crypto history with EOS and stuff. I do have some good memories, but I also have some bad memories as well too. But hey, that's part of the game. We live and we learn life of stuff, but hey, we are tougher, so we get to experience and get to learn from this and make our own decisions. So anyway, that's my take. So yeah, I'm glad that here with Oort, they get to support us in what we're doing, and yeah, a lot of exciting stuff ahead of us. And hey, great to see the UAE making a really major impact right now, and also is going to, how do you say it, ripple for decades. I mean, this is some huge investments, and I think there's, I know there'll be some more interesting stuff coming in. So
very true. Yeah.
Definitely, we will keep you guys updated. So yeah, so George, thank you so much, man.
Thanks to Tom for doing this, brother.
Yeah. All right, we gotta go. So y'all be good. Y'all be safe. And yes. Oh, but George, before we leave, we gotta reach out to Jamie. I know he asked if he wanted to join us this week.
Oh yeah.
Made him. I dropped the ball on that one, but we'll try to get him in.
Probably next week. We can try that.
Next week, and yeah, let's have a fireside.
Yep.
Unfiltered chat. Get his insights as well. So yeah, he's a great guy to talk to. So
yeah, Jamie, please join us next week. You're more than happy to have you on board as well.
All right. Adios, amigos.